His name was Officer Derek Pullman, 31 years old, 6 years on the force, 17 formal complaints, 3 suspensions, 0 terminations. Her name was Amara Chen, 29 years old, 7 years as a paramedic, 234 emergency calls that year alone, 0 complaints, 1 commendation for saving a man's life after a massive heart attack outside a grocery store on June 14th. That man was Derek Pullman's father. What happens next will cost the city $7.8 million. It will cost Derek Pullman his career, his pension, and any future in law enforcement. It will cost the police department its chief, 2 supervisors, and the trust of an entire community. But on August 19th at 8:47 p.m., in the parking lot of a Shell station on Riverside Drive, none of that has happened yet. What has happened is this. A black woman in scrubs is being handcuffed by a white police officer who doesn't recognize her, who didn't bother to ask, who saw what he expected to see and acted on assumptions that have been baked into policing for generations. This is that story. Amara Chen, second-generation Chinese-American, daughter of immigrants, valedictorian, Johns Hopkins graduate, advanced cardiac life support certified, 7 years saving lives in a city that's about to watch her get arrested for sitting in her own car. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If you believe accountability matters, if you think systems need to change, hit subscribe. We cover stories like this every week, stories the algorithm doesn't want you to see. Drop your city in the comments. Let's build something here. The Shell station on Riverside Drive sits at the intersection of 2 worlds. To the east, across the railroad tracks, the renovated lofts and organic grocery stores of the Riverside District. To the west, the Section 8 housing and corner stores of the neighborhoods the city forgot. It's 8:47 p.m. on a Thursday in August. The temperature is still 83 degrees. The air smells like gasoline and fried chicken from the Popeyes next door. The fluorescent lights overhead hum and flicker, casting harsh shadows across the concrete. 6 pumps, 2 working. A cashier inside behind bulletproof glass. A camera mounted on the overhang that will record everything and somehow capture nothing useful. A parking lot designed for 12 cars that's currently hosting 7, including a white Honda Civic with Maryland plates and a black and white Crown Victoria with its lights off. This is not a high-crime area. This is not a dangerous neighborhood. This is a gas station where people stop on their way home from work, fill up their tanks, grab a coffee, and leave. Amara Chen is doing exactly that. She's parked at the far end of the lot, away from the pumps, engine off, scrolling through her phone. She's still in her scrubs, navy blue with her name embroidered on the chest. Her work bag is in the passenger seat. Her stethoscope is hanging from the rear-view mirror. She's been here 4 minutes. Officer Derek Pullman has been here 3. He pulled in without his lights on, parked 2 spaces away, got out without announcing himself, approached her driver's side window and knocked hard enough to make her jump. The cameras will show all of this. The angle is bad, the quality is worse. But you can see the sequence. You can see him approach. You can see her roll down the window. You can see the conversation that should have been 30 seconds turn into something else entirely. Amara Chen was born in Baltimore in 1994. Her parents emigrated from Guangzhou in 1989. Her father worked construction. Her mother cleaned houses. They spoke broken English and perfect Cantonese and raised 2 daughters in a 1-bedroom apartment in Fells Point. Amara was the younger, the ambitious one, the one who brought home straight A's and science fair trophies and acceptance letters to schools her parents couldn't pronounce. She graduated valedictorian from Baltimore Polytechnic Institute in 2012, full scholarship to Johns Hopkins, pre-med track. She lasted 2 years, not because she couldn't handle the work, she could, not because she didn't want to help people. She did. But sitting in lecture halls studying diseases felt abstract, theoretical. She wanted something immediate, something tactile, something where she could see the difference she was making in real time. She switched to the paramedic program at Baltimore City Community College in 2014, graduated top of her class in 2016, passed her National Registry exam on the first try, started working for the city's emergency medical services the same week, 7 years, 2,341 calls. Everything from heart attacks to overdoses to gunshot wounds to diabetic emergencies. She's delivered 2 babies in the back of an ambulance, saved 4 people from opioid overdoses with Narcan, performed CPR on a 6-year-old who fell into a pool and brought him back. Her supervisors describe her as calm under pressure, meticulous, empathetic, the kind of paramedic you want showing up when your world is falling apart. On June 14, 2023, she was off duty, grocery shopping at the Safeway on Charles Street. She was in the produce section when she heard someone shout for help. She ran toward the sound and found a man on the ground, 62 years old, unconscious, not breathing, no pulse. She dropped to her knees, started compressions, told someone to call 911, told someone else to find an AED. She worked on him for 11 minutes, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, repeat. The AED arrived. She shocked him twice, kept going. The ambulance arrived. She briefed them, handed off, stepped back. The man survived. Full recovery. No brain damage. No permanent heart damage. The cardiologist at Johns Hopkins said if she'd started compressions even 2 minutes later, he'd be dead. The man's name was Richard Pullman, retired postal worker, father of 3, grandfather of 5, husband of 40 years. His youngest son is a police officer. Derek Pullman sent Amara a handwritten thank you note 3 weeks later. Said she saved his father's life. Said his family would be forever grateful. Said if there was ever anything he could do for her, just ask. She kept the note, pinned it to the corkboard in her kitchen. 2 months later, Derek Pullman won't remember her face, won't recognize her name, won't connect the woman in scrubs sitting in a Honda Civic to the woman who brought his father back from the dead. On August 19th, Amara is coming off a double shift. 16 hours, 3 cardiac arrests, 1 failed, 2 saves. She's exhausted. She's hungry. She stopped at the Shell station to grab a Gatorade and decompress before driving home. She's not breaking any laws. She's not causing any problems. She's sitting in her car, scrolling through messages from her sister, trying to decide if she has the energy to stop for takeout or if she's just going to crash as soon as she gets home. Then Officer Derek Pullman knocks on her window. Derek Pullman joined the Baltimore Police Department in 2017, 25 years old. Associate's degree in criminal justice from a community college in Pennsylvania. No military background. No prior law enforcement experience. His psych eval flagged him as prone to escalation under stress, but recommended him for hire with additional training. He got the additional training. 1 weekend workshop on de-escalation, 8 hours, multiple choice test at the end. He passed. 6 years on the force, 17 formal complaints. Let that number settle. 17, in 6 years. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. 2018, complaint for excessive force during a traffic stop. Suspect alleged Pullman slammed his head against the hood of his car. Internal Affairs investigated. Pullman's partner corroborated his version of events. Complaint dismissed. 2019, 2 complaints. 1 for using racial slurs during an arrest. 1 for unnecessary use of a taser on a 16-year-old suspected of shoplifting. Both investigated. Both dismissed due to lack of evidence. 2020, 4 complaints. Excessive force, unlawful detention, false arrest, intimidation. 1 resulted in a 3-day suspension without pay after dashcam footage contradicted his report. The other 3 were dismissed. 2021, 5 complaints. This is the year his supervisors started noticing. This is the year his file got flagged. This is the year he was required to attend anger management counseling and take a remedial course on constitutional policing. He attended. He passed. He went back on the streets. 2022, 3 complaints. 1 for pulling his weapon during a wellness check. 1 for detaining a journalist covering a protest. 1 for allegedly planting evidence during a narcotics arrest. All investigated. All dismissed. 2023, 3 complaints before August. 1 for unlawful search. 1 for aggressive conduct during a mental health crisis call. 1 for refusing to provide his badge number when asked. His supervisors describe him as aggressive, confrontational, prone to seeing threats where none exist. He's been through retraining twice. He's been suspended twice. He's been reassigned 3 times. He's never been fired. His personnel file contains 14 documented warnings, 7 remedial training completions, 3 failed de-escalation assessments, and 1 notation from his sergeant in May 2023 that reads, Officer Pullman continues to demonstrate poor judgment in civilian interactions. Recommend close supervision and possible desk assignment if pattern continues. He was not reassigned. He was not put on desk duty. He was put back on patrol with a different partner and told to be more careful about paperwork. On August 19th, Derek Pullman is driving alone. No partner, no oversight, no one to pull him back when he decides a woman sitting in her car at a gas station is suspicious enough to warrant his attention. He's been having a bad week. Argument with his girlfriend, argument with his sergeant, argument with a defense attorney who tore apart his testimony in court and made him look incompetent in front of a jury. He's angry. He's humiliated. He's looking for control. He sees a black woman in a nice car in a gas station parking lot at night. He doesn't see a paramedic. He doesn't see someone who saved his father's life. He sees what years of training and culture and bias have taught him to see. He sees a problem. Derek Pullman knocks on Amara Chen's window. 3 sharp raps, knuckles on glass. She jumps, looks up, sees the uniform, rolls down her window. "Evening, officer. Is there a problem?" "License and registration." "I'm sorry, what?" "Your license and registration." "Now." "I'm not driving. I'm parked. I need to see your ID. Can I ask why? Are you refusing to comply with a lawful order?" This is where confusion becomes confrontation. This is where a simple question becomes a test of authority. This is where Derek Pullman's bad week meets Amara Chen's exhaustion, and everything that follows becomes inevitable. "I'm not refusing anything. I'm asking what the lawful order is based on." "Step out of the vehicle." "For what?" "Step out of the vehicle now." "Officer, I just finished a 16-hour shift. I stopped to get a drink. I'm sitting in my car. I haven't done anything wrong. I don't care what you think you've done. Out, now." She stares at him, processes, calculates. She knows what happens when black people argue with police. She knows what happens when compliance isn't fast enough. She knows the statistics. She's treated the casualties. She opens her door. Steps out, hands visible, movements slow. "I'm a paramedic. I work for the city. I'm not. I don't care what you are. Turn around." "Excuse me?" "Turn around. Hands behind your back." "Why am I being detained?" "You're interfering with an investigation." "What investigation?" "I'm standing in a parking lot." This is where Derek Pullman makes his first procedural error. There is no investigation. There is no reasonable suspicion. There is no probable cause. There is a woman standing next to her car asking reasonable questions, and a police officer who's decided those questions are insubordination. You're under arrest for obstruction. Obstruction of what? "Turn around now or I will take you down." "I'm not resisting. I'm asking a question." He grabs her arm, spins her around, shoves her against the car. Her face hits the roof, hard enough to leave a bruise, hard enough that 3 people inside the gas station look up. "I'm not resisting. Stop pulling away." She's not pulling away. The body cam footage will show this. She's standing still, arms at her sides, breathing hard, trying not to panic. He wrenches her arms behind her back, cuffs her, too tight. The metal bites into her wrists. She gasps. "Those are too tight. Should have complied." "I did comply. I got out of the car. You should have complied faster." This is where humiliation becomes cruelty. This is where a bad arrest becomes a performance. Because Derek Pullman is not alone anymore. There are witnesses now. A teenage cashier recording on his phone. A woman at pump 3 with her hand over her mouth. An elderly man walking toward them. "Officer, what's she being arrested for?" "Mind your business." "I'm just asking." "I said mind your business or you're next." The elderly man backs away. The woman at the pump gets in her car. The teenager keeps recording. Amara is crying now, not sobbing, not hysterical, just tears running down her face because she understands what's happening. She understands that nothing she says will matter, that her credentials don't matter, that saving Derek Pullman's father's life doesn't matter. All that matters is that she's a black woman who asked questions instead of obeying. "Officer, please, check my ID. Call my supervisor. I work for the city. I'm a paramedic. I saved..." Derek Pullman isn't listening. He's walking her toward his patrol car, reading her rights in a monotone. She's still trying to explain. "I saved a man's life on June 14th, at the Safeway on Charles Street. His name was Richard Pullman. He's your father." Derek stops. For just a second, his hand tightens on her arm. "What did you say?" "Richard Pullman. Heart attack. I performed CPR. I brought him back. You sent me a thank you note." This is where recognition should happen. This is where a reasonable person would pause, would verify, would realize they've made a catastrophic mistake. Derek Pullman is not a reasonable person. "Nice try." It's not a try. It's the truth. "Check your..." "Save it for booking." He opens the back door, pushes her inside, slams it shut. The entire interaction has lasted 6 minutes. Sergeant Maria Vasquez has been on the force for 19 years. She's Derek Pullman's supervisor. She's responded to 3 of his complaints. She's written 4 of the warnings in his file. She's recommended twice that he be reassigned. She's driving past the Shell station on Riverside when she sees his patrol car. Lights off. Door open. Derek standing beside it talking to someone through the glass. She pulls in, gets out, walks over. "Pullman. What's going on?" "Arrestee for obstruction." "Obstruction of what?" "My investigation." "What investigation?" Derek hesitates. Just for a second. Long enough for Vasquez to know he's lying. She walks to the back window, looks inside, sees Amara, sees the scrubs, sees the name tag. "Why is a city paramedic in the back of your car?" She refused to comply. With what? She was acting suspicious. Sitting in her car. Wouldn't show ID. Vasquez stares at him. She's not angry yet. She's calculating, running through procedures, policy, liability. Did you run her plates? Didn't need to. Did you verify her employment? She's lying. Did you ask for her credentials? She didn't. Did you ask? Derek doesn't answer. Vasquez walks back to the patrol car, opens the door. Ma'am, I'm Sergeant Vasquez. I need you to step out, please. Amara steps out, hands still cuffed, face still wet. Can you tell me what happened? I stopped for a Gatorade. I was sitting in my car. He approached me, asked for my license. I asked why. He arrested me. Did you refuse to provide ID? I asked what the stop was for first. Vasquez turns to Derek. Did she refuse? She was non-compliant. That's not what I asked. Did she refuse to provide identification? She was arguing, so no. This is where Derek Pullman realizes he's in trouble. This is where the adrenaline wears off and the consequences start to materialize. Vasquez uncuffs Amara, hands her a bottle of water from her trunk, turns to Derek. Badge. Sarge, badge and weapon. Now. You can't. I can. I am. You just arrested a city employee without cause. You detained her without reasonable suspicion. You used force during a non-violent encounter. You refused to verify her credentials, and you did all of it on camera. She points to the gas station overhang, the camera, the teenager still recording, badge, weapon, car keys. You're suspended pending investigation. Go home. Derek Pullman hands over his badge, his weapon, his keys. He stands there for a moment like he's going to argue. Then he walks away, gets in his personal car, drives off. Vasquez turns to Amara. I need your statement. I need your supervisor's contact information, and I need you to know that you're going to have every resource the city has to make this right. Amara nods. She's shaking now, the adrenaline wearing off. I saved his father's life. I know. I read the report. I was the one who processed his thank you note through the department. Then why? Vasquez doesn't have an answer. Not one that makes sense. Not one that excuses what just happened. The video goes viral in 48 hours. The teenager's phone footage hits Reddit first, then Twitter, then Instagram, then local news, then national news, then international news. Paramedic arrested while sitting in her own car after saving officer's father's life. The headlines write themselves. City employee handcuffed for sitting while black. Black paramedic detained by cop whose father she saved. The Baltimore Police Department issues a statement 3 days later. Standard boilerplate. Investigation ongoing. Officer placed on administrative leave. Incident does not reflect department values. The statement lasts 6 hours before the internet finds Derek Pullman's complaint history. 17 complaints, 3 suspensions, 0 terminations. The second statement comes 48 hours later. Officer Derek Pullman has been terminated effective immediately. Full investigation underway. Department committed to accountability and reform. Amara Chen files a civil rights lawsuit 4 weeks later. 8 claims: false arrest, unlawful detention, excessive force, violation of Fourth Amendment rights, intentional infliction of emotional distress, assault, battery, municipal liability for inadequate training and supervision. Her attorney is a former federal prosecutor, the kind who doesn't take cases unless they're airtight, the kind who makes cities nervous. The city's attorneys review the footage, review Derek Pullman's file, review Sergeant Vasquez's incident report, review the thank you note Derek sent Amara, review the 17 complaints, review the documented warnings that were ignored. They settle in 6 months, $7.8 million. The announcement comes with a statement from the mayor. We are committed to systemic change. We are committed to accountability. We are committed to ensuring incidents like this never happen again. The police chief resigns 2 weeks later. The deputy chief who approved Derek Pullman's return to patrol after his 3rd suspension is reassigned to a desk job. The union representative who fought to keep him employed after his 5th complaint retires quietly. Derek Pullman's termination letter is leaked to the press. The relevant section reads, "Your conduct on August 19, 2023, demonstrated a pattern of behavior inconsistent with the values of this department and the oath you swore to uphold. Your failure to follow basic procedures, your use of force in a non-threatening situation, and your complete disregard for the civil rights of a citizen and city employee represent a fundamental betrayal of the public trust. You are hereby terminated for cause. Your pension is revoked. You are ineligible for rehire in any law enforcement capacity in the state of Maryland." He appeals. The appeal is denied. He moves to Florida. Last anyone heard, he's working private security at a shopping mall. Amara Chen testifies before the Baltimore City Council in November 2023. Public hearing on police reform. Packed chambers, standing room only. She reads from a prepared statement. I became a paramedic because I wanted to help people. I wanted to save lives. I wanted to make a difference in my community. On June 14th, I saved Richard Pullman's life. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his son was a police officer. I just knew he was dying and I could help him. 2 months later, his son arrested me for sitting in my car. He didn't recognize me. He didn't ask my name. He didn't verify my credentials. He saw a black woman and assumed I was a threat. He saw someone who asked questions and decided I was non-compliant. He saw someone who wanted to understand why she was being detained and called it obstruction. I was handcuffed. I was shoved against my car. I was put in the back of a patrol vehicle. I was read my rights for a crime I didn't commit. And the entire time I kept thinking, I saved his father's life. I kept thinking, if his father had died that day, if I hadn't been there, if I hadn't known what to do, Derek Pullman's family would have lost someone they loved. And I prevented that. I gave them more time together. I gave them more memories. And 2 months later, Derek Pullman arrested me for existing. I'm not angry anymore. I was, for weeks. But anger doesn't change systems. Anger doesn't prevent the next Amara Chen from being handcuffed for asking questions. Anger doesn't fix broken training. Anger doesn't remove officers with 17 complaints who should never have been on the streets. What changes systems is accountability. What changes systems is transparency. What changes systems is people demanding that the patterns stop. Derek Pullman had 17 complaints. 17. That's not a few bad days. That's not a few misunderstandings. That's a pattern. That's a culture that protects officers over citizens. That's a system that values loyalty to the badge over justice for the people we're supposed to serve. I'm grateful for Sergeant Vasquez. I'm grateful she stopped. I'm grateful she intervened. I'm grateful she did her job. But the fact that I have to be grateful for a supervisor doing the bare minimum tells you everything you need to know about how broken the system is. I want my story to matter. I want it to mean something. I want the $7.8 million the city paid me to come with real change, not press releases, not task forces that issue reports no one reads. Real change, real accountability, real consequences for officers who abuse their power. Because if we don't fix the system that put Derek Pullman on the streets for 6 years despite 17 complaints, then we're just waiting for the next traffic stop, the next gas station, the next paramedic who asks one too many questions. The chamber is silent when she finishes. 30 seconds, then applause, then more applause, then the council chair promises reform. Whether that reform happens is another story. Here's what nobody wants to talk about. Derek Pullman is not an outlier. He's a symptom. 17 complaints, 3 suspensions, 0 terminations before he arrested Amara Chen. That's not one bad cop. That's a system designed to protect bad cops. That's a culture that values covering mistakes over correcting them. That's a bureaucracy where 14 documented warnings mean less than union protection. The Baltimore Police Department isn't unique. Departments across the country have officers with complaint histories that read like Derek Pullman's. Officers who've been retrained. Officers who've been reassigned. Officers who keep getting chances because firing a cop is harder than keeping them on the streets. Why? Because police unions negotiate contracts that make termination nearly impossible. Because arbitrators reinstate fired officers at stunning rates. Because cities settle lawsuits and seal the records and the public never knows which officers are costing them millions. Derek Pullman cost Baltimore $7.8 million. That money comes from taxpayers, from the people who fund the police department, from the community that deserves better. Amara Chen got justice. She got a settlement. She got an apology. She got Derek Pullman fired and his pension revoked and his law enforcement career ended. But justice for one person doesn't fix the system that created the problem. The real question is, what changes now? Does Baltimore implement early intervention systems that flag officers after their 5th complaint instead of their 17th? Does the department create independent oversight instead of relying on internal affairs to investigate itself? Does the city publish complaint data so the public knows which officers are liabilities? Or does this become another viral moment that fades when the next video drops? Because if we don't fix the system that allowed Derek Pullman to patrol for 6 years, if we don't fix the training that teaches officers to see threats instead of people, if we don't fix the culture that protects aggression and punishes accountability, then we're just waiting for the next Amara Chen, the next paramedic, the next teacher, the next nurse, the next person who asks why and gets handcuffed for it. Derek Pullman's career is over. That's consequence. The city paid $7.8 million. That's accountability. But neither of those things prevents the officer with 16 complaints from making it 17. We know what the problems are. We've known for decades. Racial bias in policing, inadequate training, cultures of silence, lack of accountability, qualified immunity, police unions that protect misconduct. The question is whether we're willing to do what it takes to fix them. If this story made you angry, good. Stay angry. Channel it. Demand transparency from your local police department. Demand complaint data. Demand oversight. Demand that officers with patterns of misconduct face consequences before they cost cities millions and destroy lives. If you believe accountability matters, subscribe. We cover these stories, the ones that slip through the cracks, the ones the algorithm buries, the ones that matter. Drop your city in the comments. Let's build accountability together. Because Amara Chen shouldn't have to be grateful that a sergeant did the bare minimum. She should expect it. We all should.